following that up, we can talk about it briefly here. Zombie decided, all right, now I'm a real filmmaker. My talent has blossomed. Now I'm going to show the world what I can do. Watch this. Check this out. You ready? I'm going to remake Halloween. Oh yes, me, Rob. I'm going to put the Rob Zombie magic on an acknowledged, sacrosanct, untouchable classic. And that one was more of a red flag, even though after Devil's Rejects, I was like, all right, well, he's clearly got what it takes to make a good horror movie. Let's see what he does. From my perspective, there's no reason to remake Halloween. It's not even particularly dated. I mean, it's of its time, but it's still an effective, classic, awesome horror movie. So, like, if you're going to remake it, you better be bringing something really interesting and original to the table. And he kept saying in interviews, I've done it, I've cracked it. I thought about it long and hard because I'm a horror guy. I'm not just going to, you know, touch a classic and ruin it, you know, just to be, I got this great idea, it's brilliant. You won't believe how awesome my twist on it's going to be. So we're all like, okay, sure, Rob,
Halloween.
Show us.
Should we be reviewing the first one before we review Rob
Oh,
Zombies?
the classic? Well, I'm assuming
let's do
you
Rob
probably
Zombies.
See, if you're a horror buff at all, you don't
You've
need
seen
us
it.
to tell you that Halloween is a classic, the original.
Especially the music.
Yes, the musical score honestly makes that movie. When they screened the original cut of Halloween, the music wasn't done, and the executives watching it said, "This is crap. This isn't scary. Nobody's going to like this."
And then they put
the music back in, and they were like, "Oh, okay, sure." Ended up making like $1 bajillion. So Zombie's big innovation, his big twist on Halloween. To recap briefly, the whole reason that the original 1978 Halloween is a classic is because of the nature of Michael Myers, the killer, who at the very beginning of the movie starts off as this cute little kid, and then his mind just disappears. He becomes a blank. Like, he has no soul, no conscience, no humanity. He just exists almost like an amoeba. He just exists and does harm. So he, you know, stabs his own sister to death and then goes to a psych ward, and then when he gets out, he puts on this blank mask, and it's a perfect metaphor because he basically has no face. He might as well not be human.
And it was a William Shatner mask.
It was a melted William Shatner mask, which is awesome.
Which is truly awesome.
But, so that's why Michael Myers is scary, because as they say at the end of the movie, he literally is the boogeyman. He's not supernatural, but he's inhuman, basically. His soul is gone. That's why he's scary. So Zombies, really interesting, and I would say extremely misguided take on the material was, let's explain Michael Myers. Let's have it take a really long time for him to become the killer. So he starts off, he's obviously this troubled kid. He has a pet rat that he kills at the beginning of the movie just because he's...
Freddy did that.
His mind is going nuts. And then, like, he ends up beating one of his fellow students to death in a creek, you know, behind his house. But then he goes home and he's still acting kind of normal. And then the whole reason that he seems to be going nuts is because he's got an abusive stepfather who beats him. And so he finally kills his stepfather, and it seems kind of almost justified. And it's like, okay, so he's a killer because he was abused and is tormented in
Halloween
dark.
Resurrection, though? Is he just taking off on that? Or?
Kind of. I mean, the sequels
Halloween
were just kind
Resurrection
of
was
making
shit.
stuff up as they went. Yeah, they were just making shit up.
H2O was awesome, but Resurrection was stupid.
Yeah, Resurrection had one good joke in it. It's the pineapple scene. You'll know it. Was it pineapple? No, he doesn't call him a pineapple. That I'm thinking of Armageddon. But it's the scene where the two Michael Myers
and they're like,
cussing.
I'm going to show you how to do it.
Like, you know,
that was funny.
You stupid chucklehead, get in there. And like Michael Myers just staring at him like, huh. You can just watch that scene on YouTube and then forget the rest. But I digress. So, yeah, in Zombie's take on Halloween, he seems like he's trying to have Michael Myers make sense. So that it's like, okay, you understand his tormented backstory. And then he goes to the psych ward, but he's still kind of a normal kid, but then he kind of like regresses to being Michael Myers, the killer, for a little while, but then he becomes the kid again, and then he grows up slowly, and it's like, it just takes a lot longer to become Michael Myers, the killer. Why? Why does that make him more interesting? I would say, Zombie, you completely missed the point of what Michael Myers represented in the original movie. And by demystifying him, you're taking somebody's funny joke and explaining it until it's not funny anymore. It's the same idea. It's like, don't demystify horror because it's not scary anymore if you understand it. Michael Myers isn't scary if he's just a guy who had a rough childhood and ended up being sort of psychotic, and for some reason grows up to be this giant hulking wrestler physique guy, which is, again, you're missing the point, Rob. Michael Myers was terrifying in the original movie because he was a blank. He was just this kind of normal dude whose mind was gone. Zombie was like, he won't be scary unless he looks like he could pick up a Volkswagen and fold it in half. So he's huge, muscle-bound, just...
Was he thinking of Jason?
I don't know. It was like he conflated the two and decided...
When one was a rip-off of the... Originally, wasn't it like Halloween was first?
Halloween was...
And then Friday the 13th was like...
I should know this.
Friday the 13th was like...
I think
we're going to rip off Halloween. The director even said so.
Yeah, I think it came out like not even 6 months later, so they just...
We're going to just rip this off and make another character that's blank.
Although, interestingly, they kind of a cult classic in its own right. Well, not kind of. Definitely. Friday the 13th was hugely influential, but... I would say the inferior of the two movies, but, you know...
That's the one where the mother's the killer in the first one, right?
Yeah, it's the Jasonless movie.
First one, yeah.
The first one.
And then he becomes this big hulking guy with a hockey mask.
Yeah, and then they just kept zombifying him more and more until he's, you know,
his face is half off and stuff.
Which is, to me, it's kind of less scary, and that's what I think Zombie gets wrong with Michael Myers is...
They did remake
kind of like a little kid, he doesn't
too.
seem to think that audience will get that he's supposed to be, or like he just really thinks it's more badass if he's just like, yeah, he picks up the chick and like smashes her and beats her and like throws her 50 feet through the air because he's like this giant wrestler guy, and it's like, he's not scary because of the amount of violence he dishes out. If you watch the original Halloween, you almost don't see any blood at all. The killings are implied as much as they're shown. Whereas...
Well, he just had that giant machete.
Or don't think he ever had him. He did use a carving knife at one point. You don't actually see what you see. The carving knife killing is he picks the guy up and kind of, you know, hoists him up. So he is really strong, but he's not like
Jason.
Hugely buffed. And then he stabs the guy, but you don't really see. I think you see a little pat of blood fall onto the guy's shoe. That's it. It's not a particularly gory movie. Zombies Halloween, especially the director's cut. It takes him like 18 stabs to kill anybody, and you will see every knife go in and just ka-chunk, ka-chunk, no, ka-chunk, oh no, stop cutting me, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, oh not my eyeball, you know, and it's like, alright, look, I love a good splatter movie, but it's just like, you're trying too hard to impress. This is not scary, it's just sort of mean.
And sort of like jump scares. And stuff.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, I mean, it's stylishly directed enough, he's a competent director, but... I think he just completely missed the point of why Halloween, the original, is scary at all. And then, the icing on the cake, he made Halloween Part 2. The less said about it, the better, except to say it sucks.
They let him do a sequel.
First one made money. The second one didn't because it sucks. It's a bad movie. It's just really, really hard to watch. Every character in it is so unlikable that you...
almost want him to kill.
You can't wait for everybody to die just to shut them up. It's like everyone in the movie is an asshole.
No, kind of like in Resurrection.
More so. Even more so. At least Resurrection had a sense of campy, like, stupidity to it. His Halloween 2 is just, it's got a sense of
Halloween
cruelty
2, the remake.
And meanness without any other remitting qualities to temper that. It's just a bunch of really horrible people who die a bunch. And again, he dials up the violence even more in that one, and it's just like, so I'm watching a character that I really hate, squealing and being stabbed like 50 times until they spew a bunch of blood out of their mouth and die, and then Michael Myers is kind of standing there going, huh, okay, I guess I'll go kill someone else now, and it's just like, God, this movie's not only really unpleasant, it's boring. So, and I think by Zombie's own estimation, he didn't even want to make the movie, so...